Welcome to the Roads of Avalon. Maybe you are a brand new gatherer, maybe this is your first time going into the Roads of Avalon for gathering, or maybe you've been doing this the entire time you've been playing Albion Online, or anywhere in between. Stick around because you might just learn something. So we're about to hop into Roads of Avalon for the very first time in this series to gather, but before we do, let's pay attention to our gear. So I am rocking 4.2 armor with a 4.1 dual swords, but I am not wearing gathering gear. And to explain why I'm not wearing gathering gear, it's pretty straightforward. I'm not wearing gathering gear because when you're gathering inside the roads, you're going to be focusing on what's called aspects and elementals. Not really elementals at this stage, but aspects are going to be the main focus. They are stronger than your normal mobs. They have more health and they deal more damage. And the truth of the matter is, you're unlikely to take them down with just gathering gear. So we are wearing 4.2 Assassin's Hood, Merc Jacket, and Hunter Shoes. Now, if you watched my last video, which was completely breaking down the Roads of Avalon, the last video in this series, I explained how the rings work, but I also explained where to find gathering aspects. And they're in these hotspots, these marked spots on the map, where only gathering mobs appear, or the gathering aspects. So this entryway road, we have one stone big, one stone small, and one hide big. And again, of course, the synergies. So this will be mainly stone with the potential for wood aspects. So we can't get that. What we're looking for here are tiers 4. Because right now, that's all we can get. Now, I do only have tier 4 skinning with tier 3 sickle, pick, and axe. But we can get tier 4 aspects. It will take a little bit longer, but it will also level us up quite fast. So when you're in an aspect hotspot, just do loops. You go up to the middle ring first. You look for everything that's going to be the highest level up in the center closest to the icon on the map. Then you're going to do the middle ring, which is what we're doing right now. And then typically these zones will also have an outer ring. So furthest down, basically ground level. Do another lap. My advice, start the lap closest to the exit because that's where you'll also finish the lap. Just a little time-saving tip. So the Roads of Avalon is a very dangerous zone. I'm not going to mislead anybody. I'm not going to lie and say it's super duper safe. If you want safety, if you want complete safety, stay blue zone and yellow zone. But if you actually want to make an intense amount of profit over time, and if you want to challenge yourself and develop your skills both as a gatherer and as a fighter, going into the black zone is a must. And the Roads of Avalon are a black zone. So that means if you can be killed, if you get killed and you can be fully killed, you lose everything, both gear and inventory. So now I just did a full lap of that outer ring. We found nothing. So we're moving on to the large skin and the small stone. Now all across these dirt roads, you're going to find mobs, both gathering mobs, just like you would find in the open world, non-aspect, and Avalonian mobs. So those are just the ambient combat mobs. Now you'll also have noticed that I decided to forego with the timer because I decided to focus more on the quality of the advice and the experience I'm depicting instead of trying to speedrun or teach you guys how to speedrun any sort of development at this point. So, we're going to be focusing on basically how to do it right. And doing it right will eventually bring how to do it fast. So now we are in the fiber zone, or the hide zone, sorry. And this should also bring, I believe hide is partnered with ore, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. So entering from a yellow zone, which is what we did, I call those surface level roads. Now, that's just a term that I use. It basically means it's literally the surface level road. So a lot of people move through here at any given time. And as you can see, it seems like a gatherer has come through here somewhat recently, taken all the aspects. That will happen, but just because it does There's no need to worry. Dead body means there's a little need to worry, but just be on the lookout. Now, the mount we're using is the Giant Stag. It is a tier 4 mount. It is basically your entry-level mount to gathering. It's very cheap, but it is not very tanky. It has no defensives and low health. I call it the wet paper stag because it's essentially a wet paper bag. Now, the good news is it does have the passive carry weight. So if I do get dismounted, I can still move so long as I'm not over encumbered. Now, unfortunately, with tier 3 pickaxe, we can't get that 4.2 stone, which is a bummer. Somebody has come through here. So when you're done with the zone, whether you can't find anything or you've completely worked it, you want to open your minimap and you want to look at where your options lead. So I've got 2 zones that go into deeper roads, or other roads at least. This one is into a hideout zone, and this one goes into another yellow zone. So I'm going to go through here, Teos Aoslum, because the truth is the hideout zone is probably going to have tier 6 and 7. Nothing we can benefit from right now at this stage in our development. And it has the potential to lead to a tier 8 zone. So we don't want to get depressed seeing things that we can't have. So, potential ganker. We're going to want to flee this guy. And because he's following us, that does indicate that he wants to get us. So when you're being chased like this, easiest course of action, run to the nearest exit. Now, we don't necessarily need to go through because it does look like he peeled off. So we can wait here for a second. Doesn't seem like he's following. And if you're being chased and don't want to exit, which is the safest option, exiting immediately, I recommend not backtracking the exact same route. So here, as you can see, I took an off-road. Now we're going to stop here so I could show you these little treasures. So these little treasures will hold these things: toys, ritual candles, and each one sells in a specific city. So this one sells for 1,000 in Limhurst. This one sells for 1,000 in Caerleon. So you can take them if you want to. I personally only recommend taking the tier 6 ones because they are the ones that have the most value. But just starting out, you want as much silver as possible, so why not supplement yourself by grabbing these? They won't necessarily not sell in any other city, but they will guarantee sell immediately in the appropriate city. So Limhurst or Caerleon for the 2 that I have. Now that we've circumvented that potential ganker, we're going to look at the rings. This is a basically solo tier 4 straight shot. So we're going to go through here. There's going to be 1, maybe 2 other portals, and possibly some gathering. So actually big lucky if I was on my main gatherer, because that's a gold portal that we can't use. So this leads to a hideout zone. All in all, for demonstration purposes, it was bad. But if I was on my endgame gatherer, this would be good. And this is what a good road would look like. Leads straight into a gold zone. Probably a little populated because of how shallow it is within the road. That guy's on a boar. Could be transporting, could be gathering. Now, this is just a me thing, but I check my minimap so very often. The great thing about Albion is you can run with your minimap active. You could still navigate with it active. You could even have it faded, which is in the settings. So a lot of activity in this zone, but we're going to go check the gathering spots. Now, I recommend always fighting the off-road cats because skin just gets so valuable. And with us being at tier 4 on skinning, it helps out. And of course, always have your pie active for the extra carry weight capacity and for the extra gathering bonus. Now, thanks to our tier 4 skinning knife, we can actually collect enchanted tier 4 skin. So we're able to get this 4.1 now. And up at the top, you'll see the percentage. That percentage indicates how much carry weight capacity we've used. We're at 5%. So I would recommend going back to city, to depot, to sell, whatever you choose to do. Probably at around 85%, just in case you pick extra stuff up along the way. Now, aside from skin, attacking every cat or skinning mob that you see on the off-road, I recommend attacking every doubled up other resource mob. So solo resource mobs, not really my recommendation. But the doubled up ones, go for it. Now remember, the nodes will always gather slower than the mobs. And these boars, for skinning, cats only count as mobs. These boars will count as nodes. So you'll see how much slower they are than the cats we've been fighting. In the Roads of Avalon, a tip for survival. So this is a big survival tip. Mount and dismount often, because whenever you dismount and there is a hostile player in your general vicinity, it will give you an alert, both audio and visual. So you'll get an exclamation point above your head, your abilities will go on cooldown, and you'll get an audio alert to tell you that somebody's nearby. If somebody's nearby, mount up and run immediately. If you can't see them, that means they're invisible, or they have an angle off screen that just kind of cheesed the angles for a second. But ultimately, mount up, get out of there. Now, unfortunately, this fiber spot, pick clean, no aspects. So we're going to move on to the hide spot, which hopefully still has something. I'm going to run past those for the sake of speed and for the sake of the video. And that's 4.2 skin, so that's very valuable for us. You'll also notice that treasures appear on the map. So just like treasures in the open world, treasures will appear on the map, and they will have 30 ticks of whatever resource that they denote. So this is a 4.2 treasure. Fortunately, we can't get this right now, but that would be very good if we could. Typically, it does not take this long to find an aspect. I don't understand why we can't find even a tier 4 flat aspect. Usually nobody grabs those, but given that it's the holiday season, I reckon more people are on right now, so just more volume. But now that we're back to the paved road, we are going to go look at the hideout zone, just to see where it has the potential to drop us. So as you can see, tier 6, that's a hideout zone symbol. This is where you're going to find all of the guilds that have their hideouts. So this is going to have tier 6, tier 7 materials. So that leads to another hideout zone. Ultimately, not great. So what we're going to want to do is go right back out the way we came. And I'm going to speed this up. So right now we are in the tier 8 zone. You can see that it's tier 8 by the little Roman numerals down here. There's one gathering spot, which is a hide spot, and 3 other portals that lead to other zones. So that's going to lead to a hideout zone because it starts with QU. That's going to lead to Sectant Tersa, and this leads to another hideout zone indicated by the 3 parts of the name and QU. So we're going to go for the north corner and see if that can take us to another beneficial zone. Now, truth be told, Roads of Avalon is not typically this much running around with this little profit. If you've watched any of my other videos, you see how often, literally just how often we find profitable aspects. The problem is, or not so much the problem, our unique situation right now is that we are low level. We're low spec. We can't get tier 6s, we can't get tier 7s, so we're basically not able to profit or benefit off those zones. And typically, like I've said quite a few times, tier 4 aspects are not coveted. People are not chasing down tier 4 aspects for their value. So I'm surprised that we haven't been able to find at least one, even stone, in the stone zones to showcase. Going through here, this leads to a tier 6 hideout zone. So they just all lead to hideout zones. Let's speed through here. So this portal leads us to a tier 4 straight shot zone. So, Sinos Axiom. Their names used to matter, but nowadays they really don't. So this has 2 other portals, both leading to other roads, and a fiber and hide spot. So let's immediately swing off-road. We can't benefit off of this treasure, because it's 4.2. That is a tier 4.1 aspect. I don't know why I stuttered there. My bad. So you could tell that it's an aspect because it has this little sword symbol right above it. So this is completely soloable. I'm not going to fight it because we can't gather 4.1, but if we had tier 4 sickle, we could absolutely fight that one and benefit from it. So we move in here, more likely to find tier 6s on the inside here. That's a 5.1. And each one that has a layout like this will always have this little island on one of the bridges, and it has the chance to have another aspect. So there's a tier 6 one. Then you come out and you do a whole lap. Grab everything that's of value. Fantastic, here we go. So, before you fight an aspect, a few key points. Obviously, we have our combat gear. You want to know what your rotation is going to be. And if you've ever played an MMO, you know what the word rotation means. But basically, it means the order in which you're going to use your skills. So, we want to take a look at our skills to make sure we get the most bang for our buck. So my Q, every time I hit an enemy, applies a heroic charge. My W uses a heroic charge and does more damage if it does. And then my E, my spinning blades, it leaps me, makes me immune to all crowd control effects upon impact, and it uses, or it increases my auto attack speed by 30%. So the plan is to stack my heroic charges, use my W, use my E, and then if my health gets too low, with my increased auto attack speed, use my R, which is my chest ability, and restores health each time I deal direct damage to an enemy. So, let's begin. Never stand in the puddles. So now that we've killed it, get back on your mount immediately. Make sure nobody is trying to invisible up on you after fighting. And now we begin gathering. So tier 4 nodes have 312. And because we have a tier 3 sickle, in all honesty, this is going to take a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys. So while this is sped up, I do want you to notice up here the little percentage that says 26%. We started around 25%. So let's see how high one tier 4 aspect with 312 ticks can get us. Under 100, here's the home stretch. Now, I mounted up because I could have sworn I heard somebody go invisible. A good tactic is if you think somebody's invisible, obviously mount, dismount, but it also takes invis 7 seconds, or it lasts for 7 seconds, an invisible potion. So if you think somebody's invis near you, mount up, move away, wait 7 seconds. If you don't see them appear, you might just be crazy, like I might have been. And finally, so 312 actually got us 364 and brought us up what is that? Bad at math. 43%. So we went from 25% to 68%. So that basically gave us half to tier 5 or to tier 4 with our tool. And here's another one. Now, we likely won't be able to get this full one, unfortunately, just due to durability. But let's give it a try anyway. I'm going to go ahead and speed this one up too. And with any luck, we can get the next level before this breaks. Of course, don't forget to pop your pie. Let's go. Now, while we're gathering this, I want to draw your attention to the mini-map. That is a power core used exclusively for hideouts, like the hideouts we saw in the zone we just came out of. Now, before it was just sitting there. Now it is being transported, which means there is a player escorting that. When you're gathering, typically you want to avoid them. Whether they're sitting there or being transported, you want to avoid them. That is a PvP hotspot. And as gatherers, we want to avoid PvP unless you're Goldstein, who thrives on it. Another point to make, people escorting the power cores are always dismounted. You can't escort it while mounted. So if I foolishly, for whatever reason, wanted to run up on this guy, he could attack me, even if I was mounted, because he's had his cooldowns free a long time ago, and he's just been walking. Unfortunately, our sickle has broken with less than 2% remaining, but we are able to walk away with about 54,000. And now before we navigate our way out of here, we are going to go check out the hide spot. Actually, we're going to finish the rotation of this spot because the synergy with fiber spots is also hide, as is obvious by the bears. We will kill the tier 6 wolf because the wolf has the chance to drop a wolf cub. That one unfortunately didn't, but there's a chance that they will. Once we get those tier 4, the tier 4 sickle, big profit. Unfortunately, no skinning aspect. So on to the next zone. Now, was that slow? Yes. And may that be boring starting out? Yes. But a big benefit of the Roads of Avalon and Black Zone in general is the exponential benefit increase to higher spec. The speed at which you can gather those eventually will have that little feed of gathering that you saw popping up. It'll have it backed up. You could finish gathering a full tier 4 aspect and it will still be flowing minutes later. These on the maps are typical dungeons. You'll see them in the open world as well. You also see these chests. Those are Avalonian chests. Greens are typically soloable. Blues are small groups, and golds are bigger groups. Typically, I'd say 7 to 20 mans. No aspect here. Now, for the sake of speed, what we're going to do is you're going to want, while mounted, to click R. And this is basically your go back button. And it does cost money to go back, but luckily for us, that's only 60,000. We have about 457, so that'll bring us just under 400,000. And then we'll be able to put all of this on the market, make back most of what we spent on the R back. Now, if you don't want to lose money, spend money, or cut into your profits, you can navigate your way through. But given how long it took for that, the sake of speed, and the fact that we saw somebody escorting a core, we don't want to risk losing anything. We don't want to risk getting into a fight or taking a long time to find our way out. So, simple way is always to just R back to whatever the last safe zone you were in. That could be a city, could be a hideout zone, could be a rest out in the Black Zone, Brazilian. It could be anywhere that you were last in a safe zone. So, repair the tools. Repairing everything costs 423. Pop everything onto the market. Now, again, these sell in their respective cities. So, Caerleon, Limhurst. They're likely not going to sell in their non-respective cities. Let's get all of our resources on the market. We're in Bridgewatch, so we can sell these two right here.
Got everything? Want to trade?
And this is just broken to the point that we're not able to repair it at the marketplace. So when you need to repair something, you come out here. And you look for the repair station. This one's over here. This little guy right here. It'll repair everything in your inventory and in your gear. And as you can see, this is now back to 100%. So, key takeaways. Typically, Roads of Avalon, not that much running around, but it does involve quite a bit of running. I would, however, equate it to the running around that you would most likely have to do in the blue or yellow zone, simply due to the competition of those enchanted nodes and mostly all the other nodes, really. When it comes to the time to gather, you start off obviously very, very slow. We were slower than most because we were using a tier 3 tool on a tier 4 aspect, but we were able to get, bring it up here, we were able to get 98% of the way. And if it didn't break, that second aspect would have gotten us to tier 4 gathering. So I can go do this basically in the blink of an eye, and then we would have tier 4 gathering. Also, when you think about the volume of enchanted resources. Once you get tier 4, you can gather 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. We saw how many 4.1 fiber aspects right there. That would have exponentially increased our takeaway from that. So, key takeaways, I always will be a proponent, a defender, a voucher of the Roads of Avalon. But don't just take it from me. Take it from yourself. Go give it a try and tell me down below what you think of the Roads of Avalon, especially from a developmental standpoint. Thank you all so much for watching. That was a clap. I'm so sorry. But thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hype it if you're watching on mobile. And I will see you guys next time.